Senator Markey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fiesta, I'm deeply concerned about the growing relationship between private equity firms and retirement plans. In Massachusetts, we saw private equity firm Cerberus Capital Management, alongside Real Estate Investment Trust, Medical Properties Trust, and Steward Healthcare, destabilize our entire healthcare system, closing hospitals, leaving a trail of preventable deaths and heartbroken families, and ultimately collapsing into bankruptcy. And what did Steward do upon declaring bankruptcy? It attempted to shed its pension obligations to union healthcare workers in Massachusetts who had worked at these hospitals for their entire lives, and rip away retirement security from thousands of families. At the same time, this administration and its corporate cronies are arguing that pension funds should invest more in the very private equity firms that they are ultimately undermining the solvency. It is absolute lunacy. So we know private equity firms value profit over everything else, leaving workers to suffer and communities to clean up the mess. And we know that the Trump administration's claims that workers are missing out on outsized profits by not investing in private equity are lies. An Oxford University study showed that private equity funds, quote, have returned about the same as public equity indices since at least 2006. It's even worse when you look at these investments after the fees. And now, because private equity's greed knows no bounds, these same firms and corporate executives want to use the 401k system as their own personal piggy bank. They want to gamble with grandma's retirement to finance their fourth yacht. Mr. Fiesta, what are the dangers of the Trump administration's attempts to open up our 401ks to retail private equity investments?
Private equity is some of the most opaque types of financial instruments out there. There are no real guidelines. You're at the mercy of the manager when you're going to get paid back from an initial investment. The average is 7 years. These all point to things that don't make sense for someone saving for retirement or in retirement who needs a steady, predictable income, for example. The expensive fees we don't really know about. As you pointed out, there are studies that show that the returns aren't as good in recent years as well, and especially for a retail investor who may not have any access to what the investments are of that private equity firm. I mean, money managers and pension managers have to hire very expensive third-party services whose job it is to find out what's in a private equity fund. And that just seems to make no sense for a individual retail investor.
So from Massachusetts to the other 49 states, I'm warning you, it's coming your way, private equity. And they are just heartless, they're ruthless when it comes to what the impact is on the hospitals, on the workers, and on the community, and on those retirement plans that the workers had depended upon. I also want to ask about the Department of Labor's retirement security rule, which we call the fiduciary rule, promulgated under the Biden administration. This is a straightforward rule that says if you, as a financial advisor, are giving investment advice to somebody saving for retirement, that advice has to be in the best interest of the saver, not the best interest of Wall Street. So I grew up in a working class community in Malden. My father was a truck driver. And I can tell you that if a financial advisor told my family or our neighbors the best way to save for retirement, they would go ahead and assume that the financial advisor had their best interests in mind. So the Biden administration made the fiduciary rule the law of the land. But now it has landed in the Trump administration's crosshairs. Mr. Fiesta, can you talk about why the fiduciary rule is so important and explain who will be hurt if it is repealed?
Senator Markey, it's just common sense that if you go to someone to advise you on your investments, that that person has your best interest in mind, not the fee structure or commission structure as well. especially for people who are at or near retirement, who may be rolling over a 401k or an IRA, who would have a large sum of money. This is
Member Sanders for holding today's hearing. Also want to say thank you so much to each of our witnesses for being here and for